beautiful readings, and thanks everyone for coming. Looking very much forward to another discussion. If you want to ask questions, you know the drill. Either raise your hand or pop your question into the chat, and we'll get to it. And why don't we start from the beginning? Joaquim, how did this story come to you?
Do I have to speak English, or can I speak
No,
in
you can speak in Portuguese as well.
I think it would be faster or easier. Ok. Esta história é o resultado.
This story is a result of many different stories. This book is a mosaic. It mixes travel reports with autobiographic information. There's a little bit of journalism, history. The book is based on a number of stories that I wanted to tell. And I couldn't find a single meaning to them. Every time I thought about that story and I started writing it, new ideas came up. And then I stopped writing every time, and I had to think about it, and I had to reflect. I had many ideas, but they were very pulverized. So there were some elements that were present in all those stories. This is something that happened very often while writing this book. So I ended up by deciding to mix all that together. So I wanted to talk about Cape Verdeans. I wanted to talk about my own family. That's a little autobiographical part of it. But I also wanted to talk about the descendants of slaves who still live in Portugal in two little cities in a province called Alentejo. And I also wanted to talk about the presence of African people in Europe 200, 300 years ago. Back then, racism didn't have the power it has nowadays in the European society, and contributing to the turning the black man into something that is not even human. And getting all these ideas together in order to write a book was a very Herculean task. And I tried to find this line, and that came to me when I was taking a walk. I made it a long walk, a long trip on foot along Rio Sado. And this is when I started thinking, and I met some of these descendants of slaves who still live in the region. During this trip, this idea came to me, the idea of the structure of this book, which would be writing about a travel, it would be a travel report, but also traveling in time, going back in history, analyzing many aspects of this history, of the history of the Cape Verdeans, the history of Africans in Europe. There are two aspects in these two travels, two trips that happened. And this is what I gathered into to build the story of this book. And there's also a personal travel, which is of my return to Portugal.